are now joining Children of the Watch.
That's right. It's the #1 podcast in the galaxy for all things Star Wars television. I'm your host, Alex Maxwell, and joining me, as always, is
Mac Lacey. Alex, we got some new Book of Boba Fett footage.
Yeah, we do. And we're like less than a month away from the Book of Boba Fett. It is our season, Mac. We are gearing up.
It is in the air for sure. The energy is electric. Everybody's waiting for December. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the little previews we got. We got a couple new 30-second spots, just little promos. And we're going to go through them and talk about the new footage and stuff and what we think it means for the show.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of new footage, but there is enough for us to do an episode and talk about it. Also, like we said, we're less than a month away from the Book of Boba Fett. So it's time to start gearing up and getting ready for us in your feed a lot more than we have been, because it's been our off season. Now it's in season.
Yeah,
and
our in-season lasts like 2 months out of the year, and then we're off-season the rest of the time. So.
Right. So we are gearing back up and getting ready. In fact, we're not finished with it just yet, but we've been working on a Boba Fett 101 episode that's very similar to our Mandalorian History 101 episode that we did before The Mandalorian came out, that catches you up on everything that you needed to know for The Mandalorian. Well, we're doing the same thing for Boba Fett. And so we've recorded some segments of that. We still have a few more things to get finished with that, but you can look forward to that very, very soon on your podcast feed and YouTube. And make sure that you're subscribed to both of those, even if you're more of a podcast listener, which most of you are, and that's cool, that's okay. But we would love to try to get to 2,000 subscribers on our YouTube before the Book of Boba Fett premieres. That would help us out tremendously. And if you could watch some of the videos too, because we're like 1,000 watch hours away from where we need to be. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say what our goal is on our podcast.
Trying to get that sweet monetization, baby.
Hey, listen, every little bit helps. And in fact, towards the end of the episode, we're kind of revitalizing our Patreon too. So if you're a patron member, be on the lookout for some new things very soon, because we're going to be amping up the Patreon services as well. So I'm very excited about that, and you can tune into that towards the end of this episode. But we're here to talk this new footage of the Book of Boba Fett, which, Mac, I don't know about you. When you say to like coworkers or family members or something, the Book of Boba Fett,
yeah,
what's the reaction from people when you say the title of the show?
So I usually don't even get to that point. I still have people asking me when Mandalorian season 3 is coming out. So like they don't even get to Book of Boba Fett. But if they do, it's like, so what's it gonna be? Is
it a book?
When is it? Like, when's it set? Is this like, before Empire? Or so there's still some confusion. I don't know that the word is completely out as far as the general public goes. Hopefully, after these, I haven't really talked to anybody after these TV spots have come out. So hopefully, word's getting out there.
Yeah, it's just, but to me, even the title itself, I'm not a big fan, I don't think, of the title of this show, just because I feel silly saying the Book of Boba Fett. I just feel silly.
Like the alliteration with the B's, or
yes, it feels silly to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I think they could have just called the show Boba Fett.
Either that, or maybe they'll go back and like name it something different after the fact. I feel like Book of Boba Fett is you've got the Boba Fett name in there, which is really what you need. You're trying to use that name recognition to bring in some more casual viewers. I think you're gonna have an easier time of doing that with something like The Mandalorian, or definitely more than like Andor or
right.
Rangers of the Resistance, or whatever it is.
New Republic, yeah.
I said what I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know.
It looks good when you look at it.
100%.
Like, I'm looking at the logo right now, the Book of Boba. It's an incredible logo.
It's evocative of everything it needs to be. It's got the color scheme in there with the weathering and everything, just like the armor has. But
it just doesn't. When I say it, I just feel silly for some reason. Maybe it's just a me thing, and nobody else has a problem with it, which is fine.
Do you know what I had like the exact same feeling about for almost a year? Grogu.
What? Oh, well, okay.
Because like I don't think in and of itself Grogu is it just like rolls off the tongue or anything. But we've settled in. Now we don't even think we don't even think twice about it.
That is true.
So
I've always liked Grogu. I'm a big Grogu guy. You can go back and listen to the podcast. Big Grogu guy from the get-go. But now it makes sense what you were saying before. It just, for some reason, maybe it's my tongue, maybe it's nobody else's. It just doesn't flow. The Book of Boba Fett. I say it too fast.
The Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett.
It does kind of sound like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction when she's trying to be Elvis while introducing Vincent Vega.
Yeah.
It's very, very specific pull, but anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about.
All right, so let's jump into this very first teaser. It's called Rain. So if you haven't watched these teasers, definitely pull it up on your YouTube while you're listening, or pause while you're watching and go watch these, because these are it's got some good footage in there. And Rain starts off with Jabba's palace's door opening.
Yep.
And I believe you see Fennec Shand, and what I am thinking is a Red Key Raider, which
okay.
we when we did our trailer breakdown, we had talked about that possibility. The guys with the shields, the energy shields surrounding Boba Fett and Fennec, it's one of those guys. And we had discussed that this might be a Red Key Raider. Now, if you're not familiar with what a Red Key Raider is, they're basically the same people that Cobb Vanth took out in season 2 of The Mandalorian in Mos Pelgo when he's cleaning it up. They're a criminal syndicate that they're like a mining company on Tatooine, and they're trying to gain power because of the power vacuum now that Jabba the Hutt's gone.
When Jabba kind of was removed from the picture, they swept in and started seizing what territory they could and everything like that. You can get both them and Cobb Vanth show up in the Aftermath interludes. Definitely check those out. Those are some of the coolest reading from around the galaxy, just the interlude portions of the Aftermath trilogy. But yeah, it makes total sense to me that they would be here. I mean, Cobb Vanth is already fighting them. We know that Boba and Cobb, Boba at least knows of Cobb because he knows where to go get his armor.
It might not be them. It might not be the Red Key Raiders. I'm just trying to make a connection. If they've already brought Cobb Vanth in from the Aftermath trilogy, well, I mean, we saw Red Key Raiders who he was fighting on the show as well. Those were the Red Key Raiders. These might be the same guys. I mean, they're wearing a red kind of motif thing. I could see them being part of a former mining company, just kind of the way they look and stuff. It might be them. It might not be them. But it's something to keep in the back of your mind when the show starts. If they mention Red Key Raiders, well, there you go. They're from the Aftermath trilogy of books, which you should absolutely read. Those are probably still my favorite of the new canon. Maybe that or Alphabet Squadron. I don't know. They're both really good, and they take place at the same time. So
there you go.
There's that. So yeah, you see Jabba's palace door opening like you do. It's very evocative of Return of the Jedi. And then the next new footage we see, it appears Boba Fett is on a speeder, and there's someone right behind him, and we get a little bit more of this footage in the other the other
the next spot we're going to talk
yeah,
about.
message is that one, but we get a little bit more of that. I could not make out who this was right behind them. My hope and prayer is that it's Toro Calican, but
yeah, my
doubt
pause game is not strong enough to be able to pause it with a good, nice full frame of the writer behind Boba. So
it
looks like two
easier
people almost.
Yeah, it does, and it's easier to pause on the next TV spot than this one because it's longer shot, and then it immediately goes into these parkour Red Key Raiders if they are in fact
if that's who
Red Key Raiders. If not, I mean, there's somebody, some sort of criminal organization, and they're basically parkouring across a Tatooine city. Maybe it's Anchorhead. We speculated it could be that city that we see from the trailer. And if you watch the footage and they're parkouring across the buildings, you can kind of see they're inside, that city's inside a big canyon.
Yeah.
So it's that same city that we saw from the trailer.
Right. In that kind of indention in the earth. Yeah. But they be doing some parkour. I mean, they look cool. They seem like they're maybe about to do a hit of some kind.
Okay, so that's what I was about to ask you.
Something like that. So later, and this is skipping ahead, we see them. Maybe we'll just address it when we get there. But we see them in Boba and Fennec's custody later.
Right.
So I think,
we already did at the beginning of this too. One of them at least.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's not skipping ahead.
So if they're not Red Key Raiders, and also the two things I'm about to say could be true at the same time. But I think the other option is that they're just hired by our Arthurian villain.
Yes.
Just as hired muscle to maybe take Boba out or to steal something from him, something like that. Maybe that's, when they hear of Boba kind of setting up shop in Jabba's old place, maybe this is kind of the first contact with any other syndicates is these guys coming in, I could see, and then they also could be Red Key Raiders, and that also be true. They could be hired out that way too, so, but I do think it looks like they're kind of trying to be quick and sneaky here.
I wasn't sure if they're running towards, like, are they attempting to assassin someone or are they running away?
Right. Could be either.
It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah. Maybe they just did something and they're running away from what they've done. It's kind of hard to tell. Then we get a shot of Jabba's palace or Boba's palace, whichever you want to go with there. And then the same footage that we saw from the trailer with the droid handing Boba Fett his helmet. And then we get another new shot of this city, which again could be Anchorhead, could be a different city. One thing that we did not say in our Book of Boba Fett trailer breakdown, in the original prequel sketches, like when they were visualizing the prequel, originally Mos Espa, they used the same exact design from that sketch of its inside of a crater for Mos Espa, and they used it in the Book of Boba Fett. However, I don't think this is Mos Espa based on what we've seen from Attack of the Clones and The Phantom Menace, because there was nothing in a crater in those movies. So I think this is Anchorhead still.
I venture to say this is probably a new location that we haven't been to on screen before, such as Anchorhead.
But they just use that concept art for the city.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars concept art is cannibalized over and over. Just everything ends up somewhere. It's just a matter of time, Yeah.
Right.
Like all the designs they reject, give it 10 years and they'll be coming back to those designs to pull into the current stuff.
Exactly. So then we also get a shot of those Twi'leks, and the pinkish Twi'lek is actually an actress from the movie Flashdance. It's Jennifer Beals. We did not discuss that in the breakdown either. So it makes me wonder, if that's part of like her thing, like is she a dance like we see Twi'leks dancing all the time in the criminal
Right.
underworld, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or if she's just playing that part. I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. They seem to be scheming or in on something. Maybe they're. I always figured like the Twi'leks would probably be great informants. Like they probably learn a lot just from their like just working in like Jabba's palace and stuff, being around all those different people and
right.
So maybe they're doing some espionage that way. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, and it seems, I don't know about you, but it seems like there seems to be like an emphasis on this Twi'lek woman. Like she's more important than what we thought from the trailer. They keep going back to her in both of these TV spots.
Yeah. That's what makes me think like she'll be, working with Boba or something like that or against maybe,
Yeah.
she could be
right.
a spy that's infiltrated. Who knows?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think she'll have some kind of role like that to play.
Now, the next shot that we get in the Rain TV spot is interesting because I think it confirms something for us that we speculated pretty much from last January to now is we see Slave One, and it appears to be in Jabba's palace, like underneath Jabba's palace. We see Fennec, but we also see Boba Fett in his robes that we saw him in The Mandalorian before he got his armor back. So it seems to confirm there's flashbacks.
Yes.
Right?
At least as early as how he got out of the Sarlacc pit or what happened directly thereafter,
Especially when we talk about the next TV spot.
The next TV, there's an even more telling shot for sure.
Yeah, right.
But actually could be less telling if you think about it.
That is true. That is true.
So, but we'll get there.
Yeah. And so it appears we're at least getting the story of when he finds Fennec after Toro had shot her.
Yeah.
And what they do until they get to Tython to meet Grogu and the Mandalorian and the Dark Troopers and all that.
Yeah.
So we'll at least get that section of the story, it appears. And then we go back to a very similar scene that we saw from the trailer with Boba Fett doing the politicking at the table of the crime lords, what we assume is Jabba's palace, and he's talking. And then we get a new shot of him kind of standing at the head of the table, which that is a newer shot of him standing, and he looks completely in charge already.
He looks like he's just sailing right into the role, like. Yeah, I mean he's at the head of that table. He looks in charge to me.
Yep. And then we get another shot of him sitting on the throne, which, by the way, Star Wars explained they were able to decipher what the throne says. It says his name on it.
Really?
Right. So here's the deal. He killed Bib Fortuna, who was sitting on that throne. So did something... What happened there? You know what I'm saying? Or is that just like a...
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe it could just be something that like that's what it says and they never intended for anyone to translate it and it's just a production
or it's just
thing.
It's just a little... Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There's huge story implications too.
Right, or the timeline we thought is completely different, or something happened that we never heard, pray tell of.
Right.
Like maybe this isn't the first time he's assumed this position. Like you don't know. I lost you, Alex.
Sorry.
Your mic's out.
Oh no! Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. You sure? You can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, thank God. That was scary 4 seconds.
You made it. You're safe.
We're
we
all
came
safe
to the
here.
other side. It's all good.
Okay, so it could imply that when he got out of the Sarlacc pit, he might have tried to take control right then, and then something happened.
Yeah, that's what that would have to be, right? That would be the only time period that would make sense. It obviously wasn't before he went in the Sarlacc pit.
No,
I think we can rule all of that time period out.
It could not have been. unless there's something we're missing here, but I don't think that we are,
I'm like,
because
unless there's a really huge event in his life we're missing in between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope.
yeah,
I don't see that happening, though.
so it makes me wonder, maybe that's why Cobb Vanth was kind of allowed to have his armor for a while, because maybe he was trying something new and then he realized, I got to have the armor if I'm going to do this the right way. I don't know. I don't know. Again, it could be exactly what you said. It wasn't meant for us to speculate about, or it could mean everything to the show. It could be the whole secret to the show. I don't know.
Makes me feel like probably not, since they put it out in a trailer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Interesting.
We'll see.
Definitely have to keep an eye on it, because
Yeah.
that could potentially have some wild implications.
Right. And then we go back to Boba Fett and Fennec fighting these people with the energy shields, and then another shot of Slave One, and that's basically the Reign TV spot, which I assume, again, we're going to probably get a lot of TV spots as we get closer and closer. We won't do a breakdown of every TV spot, but right now we have so little footage of the Book of Boba Fett, it's worth talking about.
Yeah,
right,
especially
now.
because we got these two kind of back to back. So
yeah, so let's go to Message. That's the next one, and it's I need to turn that down. It starts off with the same trailer footage that we got of Boba Fett putting on his helmet again, because these are meant to be on TV. These are meant to reach an audience who might not know that the Book of Boba Fett is coming out. And so
it might be to people who don't know that the guy in the green helmet with the T-shaped visor is named Boba Fett too. Like,
that's sad.
This has to be all things to all people.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, because not everybody knows, and that's the thing though about what I love about The Mandalorian, and what I love what Disney is doing with Star Wars right now with television, is because there's going to be new fans who are formed out of these TV shows. And I think that's fantastic. And I hope they find our show. I hope they enjoy it, because that's what we've always been about, is like, hey, yeah, we're for hardcore fans. Like we want everyone to join in, but we want everyone to join in. So if you are not as familiar with Star Wars stuff, we want to make the show, what we do, as accessible to you as possible. So we try to always sometimes over-explain things, because we just sometimes, as Star Wars fans, hardcore Star Wars fans, we just assume everybody knows things that they might not know.
Right.
And they might not know that that guy's name is Boba Fett, but they recognize probably that look, right? They remember from Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, that guy, or even the Attack of the Clones. So, pretty cool. Then we get a shot of what appears to be Tusken Raiders.
And this is technically a new shot, or it's at least a
sandstorm?
New part of of the same shot. Like, we can't make out the figures quite as well as we used to be able to.
And interesting dialogue underneath that scene too. Boba Fett is saying "Left for Dead" on the sands of Tatooine. Tatooine. Which my hat says Tatooine.
Yeah, the way he says it is also the only way I'm going to say it from now on. Tatooine.
Yeah, there's three figures, what look to be Tusken Raiders. I guess here's what I'm going to assume. I think Tusken Raiders found Boba Fett, crawled out of a Sarlacc pit, took him back, nursed him to health, and he was kind of adopted into that culture for a while.
Yeah, he shows up in robes with a gaffy stick.
Yeah.
That's, can't lose sight of that. That leads me to believe, probably, some Tuskens pulled him out of the Sarlacc or found him or, whatever. Do you have any predictions for how he physically got out of the Sarlacc?
I think he fought his way out.
I'm going to go with jetpack finally started working.
Yes.
And he flew his way out, but probably had to blast and stuff. So
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. And then I think he Iron Man's into the sand,
but he half dead, and then just collapses.
Maybe he rips it off, or maybe the Tuskens take it off him and kind of leave it there in the sands for the Jawas to eventually find, and then Cobb Vanth eventually to trade with them,
right?
For his armor. And then
or maybe they trade the armor for stuff they need to revive him.
Oh, that's good. Maybe
So-
the Jawas are right there. Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, they trade that for Bacta or whatever.
Which I'm glad you said that, because the next shot we get is it looks like Boba Fett is in a Bacta tank.
Yeah. He's got the mask.
However, I'm not sure if this is directly after the Sarlacc or not.
He is looking less scarred than when he first shows up in The Mandalorian. Almost
And this
like
might
he's been
explain it.
healing. And so to me, it almost seems like this might have been, he's either just like Vader, just takes time, you know, regularly in the Bacta tank to try to get back up to 100%, you know, or something else has happened to him in the story and he's just wound up back in a Bacta tank from something else completely unrelated, you know?
I think your first thing is right. I think it's from what we see with Vader, when Vader's in a Bacta tank in Rogue One, it's probably like a regular thing that he has to do to bring healing to his body. It's probably the same thing with Boba Fett. Maybe right out of the Sarlacc, he's able to get in Bacta tanks, but it's not like a one thing fix all.
Right.
It's treatments.
If you have a big accident or something, you've got years of physical therapy ahead of you. You know, it's the same kind of idea.
Yeah, and this particular shot, though, leads me to think that this is after what we see him in The Mandalorian and before the Book of Boba Fett, because he's got eyebrows. In The Mandalorian, he doesn't really have eyebrows.
Right. And, I mean, some of the scarring has definitely dissipated as well.
Yeah. He's looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking fine in that Bacta tank. And then we get a shot of my favorite Ithorian. I hope this Ithorian is in this show so much.
Just the whole time. Yeah.
Just the whole time. I need to know what his name is. Isn't that crazy? We only know 2 names in this show.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, yeah,
it is fun.
We know Boba and Fennec, and other than that, there haven't been any, like, trading cards coming out ahead of, like, normally when a movie's coming out, you'll get, like, toys, trading cards, stuff like that that'll give you some names of people. You know, I don't think there's really been anything like that for this yet. So
not yet, but I could see that coming really, really soon, though.
I mean, they'll have to get on the Christmas push for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then it kind of switches. This is a scene that we saw in the trailer, but it goes a little bit further than what we saw in the trailer, because Boba Fett enters. He's got his old blaster.
Yep.
His like rifle
carbine.
blaster.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But behind him, like in chains, which
the...
Fennec is holding, is one of the guys in red, maybe a Red Key Raider.
Yeah. Who we were talking about earlier. You know, he was doing some parkour before this, presumably. But this is why it kind of leads me to believe they were either of their own volition moving in on him, or maybe sent by the Ithorian, and like he's showing up being like, look, I know you sent this dude.
Yeah,
I've got him right here. You know, like, fess up. Let's work it out. Like, we're now rival syndicate bosses. Like, let's come to some kind of agreement or whatever.
I think that's it, because with other footage that we've seen of this room, they all pull their blasters out on each other.
Right. It's tense. It's tense in that room.
Yeah. I think you're right on that second one. I think the Ithorian sent these guys to kill Boba Fett and Fennec.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. He's caught one, brought him back, and said, hey, what are you doing? I know this is from you. Yeah. So again, that Ithorian, like you said, might be a rival gangster, like we speculated in the trailer breakdown. Yeah. A lot of people were not realizing that the voice that was talking was the Ithorian.
Like,
a lot of people
vocalizer.
Yeah.
I don't know what the space gadget name would be, but
and again, this goes to why subtitles are super important in things. It revealed that was an alien talking, and really the only alien talking in this was the Ithorian. Yeah. A lot of people were kind of speculating. It kind of sounded like Pedro Pascal. I never heard that when we did the breakdown. It never sounded like Pedro Pascal, but after someone said it, I was like, okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Pedro Pascal though. That's
no, I mean, he's already
unless he's doing another voice.
He's already in this as another character, so.
Right. So yeah, we get that shot, and then we get the shot of the empty throne, which might have huge story implications or might not.
Or
Another shot of Boba Fett walking through a bazaar, and then again we see the Twi'lek woman and the yellow Twi'lek talking in that cantina or bar or whatever that place is. And it seems super important. The guy, now, did you notice there's a guy with a fez on his head walking in front of them?
Yeah.
He's got a fez.
Space fez.
Space fez.
Hold on to your fez.
Ooh, that might be a good shirt idea. I hope that
what if
space
we just
fez
make
guys.
the fezes? What if we just make them?
Children of the Watch fez.
Get your officially licensed COTW
like it.
fez.
And then the next shot we get a better shot of the speeder bikes. It looks like Boba Fett's leading, and then there's like at least 2 speeder bikes with people on the back following him. Are they chasing him or following him is the question.
It seemed more like a following situation.
Yeah.
Or like a Boba is being forced to lead them somewhere situation. Like, I don't think they're actively in conflict here, if that makes sense. It seemed like there was a lack of evasive maneuvers and blaster fire and that kind of thing. Just watching it, but
what if there's something? This is just coming to me, and this is the wild speculation part. Okay, just track with me because this is not going to be right. But I want to say it in case it is.
I'm ready to go with you.
What if he's leading them? What if the whole thing is like a treasure hunt type thing? There's something on Tatooine, and that's why we're on Tatooine maybe for most of the 7 episodes, which they announced this week that there's 7 episodes.
7.
There was speculation that there might be 9. So it makes me wonder if one of the episodes is a little longer than the others because we thought it was going to be 8.
Right. Maybe they just kind of doubled one up.
And I think maybe they want to get probably a Marvel show out there, and they don't want to conflict.
Couldn't make room in the release schedule.
Right. But that's interesting. Anyway, here's the wild speculation. Maybe it's a treasure hunt type situation where I don't know why my mind is going to KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, but maybe there's like a star map type thing. Maybe that the Red Key Raiders, if they're a mining company originally, found something.
Up. Man.
And maybe Boba Fett being taken in by Tusken Raiders knows about it because the Tuskens know about it. There's a lot you could get into with something like that.
So star maps are a concept that I think they're really cool in Star Wars. This it's an ancient technology, but one that like no one else has been able to replicate and stuff, right? Leading to this, super big super weapon thing, but it's not a Death Star.
Starforge.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's a concept that's ripe to bring back. When you first were like, "What? I'm going to go to KOTOR." I actually went to the KOTOR comics. And what if it's like the Mask of Mandalore? Or something along those lines, which is why like Din could get into the story, something like that.
That'd be cool.
And maybe like Boba's just trying, like Boba figures out where it is because of the Tusken Raiders or something, and then like he just wants to sell it or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be down for any of that. I'd be down for it. None of that's going to happen unless it does. And you heard it here first.
It won't.
But it might. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then before that shot ends, there's like another speeder bike too. So there's like 4 speeder bikes following what looks like Boba Fett. And then we get Boba Fett again just killing these guys brutally.
I do like that he's doing the like the face like it's a haka or something, I like that they're like bringing some of the Maori stuff into
it's really cool
into his character. I just think it's really cool.
It is really cool. And then we get another shot of Boba on the throne and Fennec sitting next to him, which we saw in The Mandalorian. Here's another thing that maybe we should talk about, and it's just hitting me. What if what we saw from The Mandalorian at the end
is the end of the show?
Not necessarily the end of the show, but it's somewhere in the show. Like we actually see that scene again, and like we don't start where we thought we would. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's possible, I guess.
That's very possible. Yeah. Star Wars, like, generally plays pretty linearly with time within one item of story. You know, it's like, obviously they come out with the movies in all kinds of different orders, but, like, within a movie, it's generally, unless there's, like, a flashback or something, it's a linear story, you know?
Right.
So what if this was kind of the first non-linear type thing? What if we jumped around a little bit timeline-wise?
Yeah, the only time that we've actually gotten true flashbacks in Star Wars was The Last Jedi. That was the first time, and then you see it again in The Rise of Skywalker because that precedent had already been set. But before that, there had never been flashbacks in Star Wars.
Right.
Like you said, it's all linear. Yeah.
Within, you know.
Yeah. That would be cool. I'm down for it.
This would definitely
it's more fun for us.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, shake it up. Keep us on our toes.
Yeah.
I mean, especially this is the medium to do it in too. Like I think it would work way better to do it in a Star Wars series than a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So that's our two main new footage that we got. And we also got some cool posters of Boba Fett and like surrounded by sand and Fennec surrounded by like a sandstorm type thing, which again lends to the credence that majority of the show will be on Tatooine, and we're probably not going much further than Tatooine.
Yeah. That's okay with me.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, especially now that we know that Kenobi's not going to be mostly on Tatooine, or at least we're getting away from Tatooine.
Great transition, because I was about to ask you, what were your thoughts on the Kenobi stuff? Because you were out of town at work when all that went down. So, like, just your quick thoughts on the behind-the-scenes stuff that we saw for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I was just running it down real fast. I was pretty surprised to see what we did in that little featurette. I mean, it's like a featurette is what I would call it, right? That we got. So I thought it was really cool. Like, I definitely think we're going. It's a world hopping adventure.
Yeah.
Because they showed a bunch of different kind of environments in the concept art and stuff that I knew for sure were not Tatooine. Some stuff that looked like Coruscant. Which is cool. I'm waiting until we get Coruscant in the modern era, you know.
Yeah.
And then just Ewan talking about working with Hayden again. I that was just so heartwarming, and it was just. I think it's gonna go a long way to to like heal some old wounds and stuff, if that makes sense. Just because like. I like that the community is kind of coming around on Hayden, you know, as we're all realizing the realities of the situation and everything. And so I'm excited to get the final chapter of kind of the Obi-Wan and Vader story, you know?
Yeah. It's
yeah,
awesome.
It's cool.
Speaking of Hayden, I mean, that's not the only show he's going to be in. He's also going to be in Ahsoka.
I mean, I figured, right?
Yeah. And by the way, there's some news on that front too. They've cast Sabine Wren in the show. Natasha Liu Bordizzo is cast as Sabine Wren. She's not the actress Tia Sakar who did the voice. And you know, I'm sure there's some people who are upset that it's not the same actress. But you know, I trust Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
I know here's the thing with Ahsoka, because it's going to be hard. I'm a huge Rebels fan. Huge Rebels fan. If you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, I think it's integral for you to watch that going forward with what we're doing in the Star Wars television aspect. I think it is actually the foundation for a lot of things that we're going to see soon.
I think in 10 years, we're definitely going to say that too, after the stuff we get, you know?
I think there's a lot of people who are upset that what we're going to see in Ahsoka was meant to be the Rebels sequel animated series. but they're going to do it in live action. And I completely get people who are upset by that because animation is a legit form of entertainment. It's not just for children.
Right. There's a lot of things it can do that live action can't as well. There's definitely stories to tell in animation and some to tell in live action, you know.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's more of a business decision type thing. You just get more eyes on live action. And that's what they're going for, is more eyes on the television show. I still know huge people who I'm friends with that they love Star Wars. They won't watch the animation. I try to get them to watch it all the time. I'm telling you, like Star Wars Rebels, you don't have to watch all of Clone Wars. I'll give the episodes of Clone Wars you can watch and not have to watch the whole series. And the Bad Batch, all of it. They just won't do it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that feel that way because we haven't come to a place, I think, in kind of pop culture where animation is considered like on the same level of live action. I think we're getting there, and eventually we will get there. It's just we're not there yet. So I get why people are upset by that, but I'm really excited for Ahsoka. After Obi-Wan Kenobi premieres, that's the show that I'm looking forward to the most after Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I'm still really intrigued with Acolyte. Just depending on what that ends up being.
Right. What is that,
There's
though?
massive potential there for some really cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ahsoka definitely, I think, is when we're going to get... I think Ahsoka is going to be the first time we start to see some resolution to this collective conflict building they're doing right now. And I think it's going to be the starting point, and it's going to lead right into whatever that kind of crossover event or whatever is going to be with Thrawn, presumably, right?
Yeah.
So
he's the Thanos of the Star Wars television universe.
Right. Been mentioned for since the jump, but then he'll eventually start showing up. Like maybe like we'll probably get at the end of Ahsoka like a face reveal for Thrawn, or at least a red eye reveal in a window or something.
It all depends on when Mandalorian season 3 comes out. Season 3 of The Mandalorian might come out before Ahsoka because they're filming that right now. I think Thrawn shows up in season 3 of The Mandalorian in that aspect of what you're talking about, and then I think he's a bigger player in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Because of the whole nature of Thrawn and Ezra were together, and Sabine and Ahsoka were looking for Ezra, and then vice versa. They're gonna finding Thrawn because of that. So, again, if you have not watched Star Wars Rebels, watch it. It's so good. There's 2 shows I would rewatch every single year since they finished. Like every year, I rewatch these 2 shows in their completion since they have finished. One is Lost.
Yeah. That would have been my first guess.
The other one is Star Wars Rebels.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's good. I'm telling you guys, you got to watch it. Now, before we jump off here, I do want to talk about our revitalized Patreon.
Yeah.
And
by revitalized, don't worry about it. Everything that's currently in place.
Oh yeah, you're good.
No one's going to be displaced from what they're currently doing. We're just offering some other stuff now.
Yeah, we're going to also, and just like, we want to make sure, even though it's like at a low price already, it's $2 really to get stuff.
That's like, I mean, $2 is like the main kind of, that's the bulk of what you want. But if you want to go just a little above and beyond,
we're going to make that an option for you with some cool incentives there. So this kind of new push that we're doing is there is a $1 tier called the Foundling tier. I like that one. If I do say it
pretty good.
myself.
Pretty good.
So you actually get access to stuff for just $1 a month. Okay, you get access to our Children of the Watch Discord, which is incredible. It's phenomenal, especially in season when a Star Wars show is on. Even some of the Marvel shows, though, we've been talking a lot about the Marvel shows as they come out and stuff. It's such a fun place to connect with this community. The Children of the Watch community, the Mandalorian Watch community. It is just so much fun to talk with everyone. But then you will also receive a new thing that we're going to be doing. I love to write, and I need to write if I want to get better at it. So I'm actually going to be providing like a weekly roundup, just a brand new weekly column from us. Sometimes Mac might do one. We might get some special guests to do one.
We'll see.
Oh, you'll do one. You'll do one. I know you will. I know you will. We might get some other people to like chime in too. I think that would be a lot of fun. Just like almost like a little Star Wars article of either what's going on or some sort of topic or something like that we want to engage with you on. So that's the $1 tier, the Foundling tier. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then the $2 tier is the Covert, which again, that's the main one that most people get. You get everything in the $1 tier, plus you get the bonus voicemail hotline episodes that we will be doing for the Book of Boba Fett. So that's 3 episodes a week. You get your breakdown episode that we do. That's kind of like what we're known for. And then the voicemail hotline episode that we do. But then a bonus one as well. If you just cannot wait, you need more content in the week, you get a bonus voicemail hotline episode. And we'll do that for Obi-Wan Kenobi and or The Mandalorian, Ahsoka. All the live action shows we'll do that for. And then you also have access to our commentary watch-along episodes of Season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian and any of the other fun Patreon episodes that we've done. You have access to that all, plus the Discord and weekly roundup. And then the new tier that we have, right now I'm calling it the Mandalore tier. It's $5 a month. You receive everything in the $1 and $2 tiers. And then we're also going to give you a special shout out at the end of our YouTube videos on a title card. Within reason, if your name is like the whole screen, we'll have to shorten that somehow. And you get 20% off of our merchandise on keepthewatch.com. Nice. Shirts and stuff like that. And then we also have some new fun goals and stuff. $600. We'll do a commentary. This is $600 a month as a collective. We'll do a commentary for the Ewok adventure. $700 is the battle for Endor. $800, we'll do commentaries for all the prequels. $900 a month, we'll do commentaries for the original trilogy, and then $1,000 a month, the sequel trilogy. So that's our kind of our new goals and stuff that we got.
To be clear, that's once we reach the goals, not every time. Not every month.
No. That's once we reach those goals. We've kind of made reasonable goals there. That we would love to really access in 2022. That's kind of our goal there. So if you want to join the Patreon, also, like, don't feel bad or guilty if you can't. Like if you don't have the means or anything, it is completely fine. If you cannot support us in that way, don't feel bad or guilty. Because I know sometimes I've been in positions where I'm listening to my favorite podcast and I'm not in a financial season to help some podcasts like I want to.
Right.
Don't feel bad if you can't. There's no pressure at all.
Sure. Also, if you need to duck out for a month or whatever it is,
no big deal.
Do what you got to do.
We're not offended. Like, we understand.
Right,
we are grateful for any support, whether that's liking and commenting on our videos or subscribing. That's another way to support us and stuff. So don't worry about it at all. You're good. We just want to provide stuff for you guys who do support us and make sure that you have great bonus content for you to enjoy. And then also, again, check out keepthewatch.com, especially if you've got, some, I don't know what to get somebody for Christmas. Vanth refrigeration t-shirt, Cloning is so hot right now t-shirt with Thrawn and Palpatine.
It's the hottest gift of the season right now.
So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up with our Patreon, but also on this channel, on the normal feed, we've got the Boba Fett History 101 coming up really soon. And of course, you'll start seeing us more and hearing us more and more as we get closer and closer to the Book of Boba Fett that comes out less than a month. So I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be doing this again real soon. But until then, keep the watch.